Hello everybody, this is Kyrix with another episode of This Week in Kyrix. Today is the episode for Wednesday, December 19th, 2018. And I honestly haven't done very much this week. I started the episode. I started the week kind of sick, getting over a cold. You know, that kind of thing. Just, not a whole lot. It's basically butchered my appetite. So I didn't get a lot done food shopping wise. If I had actually stayed with a cold all month, which would have been miserable, don't get me wrong, but it might have stretched my food stamps out a lot further. But when it ended, I went back to having normal consumption needs, and it blew through what I had left very quickly. So, anyway, my birthday is quickly approaching, so I've been dealing with birthday stuff. Like, 2 days ago, I decided to redeem my CC's. It was on the 17th, I believe. I had 1 day left before my bus pass expired, so I decided to go and get my new pass. And I'm like, well, while I'm out of the house, I may as well go down, hit the bus, go to CC's. I was actually going to do it Sunday, and then I realized, oh, it's Sunday, the buses are going to suck, I'm not fucking with it. So I waited till Monday. So I get down to CC's. You know, it wasn't a huge hassle getting there, but I get down there. And I eat my food, no big deal. I actually fill up rather quickly. The trip there kind of sucked because I was really tired. Like, I kept falling asleep in the seat, I was in that awkward stage of trying to get some sleep on the bus while also realizing that is the worst thing possible because I will miss my stop and all sorts of bullshit. But I get up there, I eat my stuff, I'm like, okay, I've got a bus coming in a few minutes, I may as well go. So the plan is I'll catch the 79 home, no big deal. You know, so I get up, walk across the street to where the 79 is going to be. You know, it'll be here in like 5 minutes kind of thing. And then I'm looking and I'm like, oh, it's delayed. It'll take another 20 fucking minutes to get here. And I keep checking the thing over and over again. It's like, nope, still 20 minutes, still 20 minutes. And then I decide, well, there's another bus up ahead, I can take that. And I get there, and then it's delayed 20 minutes. Sorry, need a drink. And, mind you, I can't go back into CC's because I've already left and they won't let me back in to keep eating. So that's not an option. And it's cold out, so I'm very uncomfortable, and I didn't bring my little work gloves that are the only thing I have that'll keep my hands warm. And I eventually decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to walk up to, I think it's the 36, which is like 10 minutes away. And then, of course, I'll still be waiting forever, but I'll get home like 20 minutes sooner, you know? Something stupid like that. And that's what I do. I get on that bus. I get on to the next bus, which drops me near my house. I get on that. And then I just go into my room and fucking sleep. And that's actually why I've done very little of any substance at all this week, is I've spent the whole time asleep. I've had big plans, like, oh, I'm gonna play this game and record it. Like, I'm gonna record Cuphead, or I'm gonna record, you know, Metal Gear, or I'm gonna record Star Ocean, which I just started. All these things that I'm gonna do that I ended up not doing because, well, too sleepy. You know, fuck me, right? That's the button. Ow, fucking cacti. So, yeah, I actually, I worked on Star Ocean. I have one episode of Rena's game and of Claude's game recorded, and while the plan is for them to run concurrently and be basically the same thing, it's not quite that right now, because at the start of the game, the stories don't mesh up quite perfectly, not yet anyway, and I could have waited for a certain point to happen and just save there and like, oh, we're gonna go from here kind of thing. But I opted not to because, well, if I had opted to start there, I wouldn't have had a chance to get some grinding in, basically. And the grinding was a thing I very much wanted to get done. So, basically I said, okay, we're gonna call a one-time mulligan on this rule. I'm gonna get mostly the same part, so that I can get this grinding in, and then from then on it'll be running on a system. And they're still generally in the same area. Like, it's not blatant like, oh my god, they're nowhere near where they are. It's just I stopped a little bit before I otherwise would have. You know what I mean? In case you're wondering, well, Kyrix, can't you grind at any time? I can, but here's the thing. In Star Ocean, Claude has this special weapon that he starts the game with, called a phase pistol or something like that, or some kind of laser that he has. Just a little hand laser, no big deal. But this hand laser, oh, that's the button. It's been so long since I played, I forgot what all the fucking buttons are. The little hand laser disappears from the game pretty much forever, definitely forever as far as you using it. Like, it might appear in a cutscene later or something, but you never use it again as a character. Once Rena gets kidnapped, which is right before where I stopped. And the thing with this laser is it is a weapon where it just makes the whole fucking game stupid easy. Not the whole game, because you don't have it that long, but you know what I mean. Okay, just... Okay, there's 25. So that's 25. Let's go 28 total that I can do here. But basically it's a short range weapon, which is kind of weird, I know, but it is. And it does just a stupid amount of damage. Like, I started the game doing like 26 damage normally, and this will do like 750 damage for no MP at a range where no enemy can hit me. And it's got enough of a wind-up time that if I miss for some stupid reason, I can just back up and they can't do shit to me. And honestly, as you can well imagine, this is a very useful weapon for grinding. So I stopped early so that I could get up to level 8, and then I'm gonna resume play. And Maya, come here. Better not be sniffing for a spot to crap. But that's basically where I am right now. Is I'm gonna fire that up some point soon. Get that maybe after this. I might play some Subnautica first. I haven't decided because I haven't been out here in like a week because I've been sleeping late. Roommate's been falling asleep out here, and whenever they're both out of the house in the morning, I have the house to myself, and I'm like, cool, I can sleep some more. So I've just spent the whole fucking week asleep, basically. The free time I have had has been spent playing Oxygen Not Included, which is this little... another kind of a Minecrafty game, I guess. It's fun. It's not a bad game. Let me just do a little math here. I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. There we go. Perfect. So anyway, it's kind of a Minecrafty-ish game in that it's sort of a crafting system. You have these, you start with these 3 characters, more keep adding later, and they are of dubious intelligence. Like, I would say about 70% of the trouble I have in the game where problems arise is because the characters won't do a thing I want them to do. Like, or it won't be blatantly obvious at first what's wrong. Like, I had characters pissing all over the place. Like, oh, this one pissed, now this one pissed, now this one pissed. And I'm thinking, guys, I just finished wiring up all of your bathrooms, what the shit? And then I realized that somewhere along the way, we missed a pipe, and they can't piss because of that pipe. You know. And it's just really goddamn stupid. Embarrassingly so. And there's no reason for it. None whatsoever, you know. But, yeah, what the fuck do I know, right? We're gonna do that. There we go. But I'm still trying to make any kind of progress on it, because usually what'll happen is they won't cook enough food, or they'll run out of oxygen because they won't harvest enough fucking algae, or something else really stupid that they have no business getting killed over, you know. Let's just refund those as it is. But I've been having fun. It's a good time killer. I'll plug in my headphones, fire up some YouTube, like listen to some Dirty Jobs while I'm playing this. So it's good. I also got a nifty little treat in the mail. I had ordered a couple weeks ago a Super NES style USB controller. It's indistinguishable. The only difference is it's got a different brand name, and rather than a SNES plug, it's got a USB plug. But it plugs into my computer, looks just like an SNES controller, feels just like it. Buttons are all in the same place, labeled the same way. It looks really good. As someone who used to have an SNES, it's nostalgic as shit. I love it. I fucking love it. It's one of those really stupid treat myself moments where there's no fucking reason that I should own this thing, but I do because I like it. You know, that's really what it boils down to. I fucking wanted it. I like it. I own it. You know. And it arrived, so now in the future when I do Super Nintendo games, it will make the whole process smoother for me. Because there's no more of this, oh, what did I map to X? What did I map to B? You know, it's just, hey, push the A button. I know where that is. Push the B button. I know where that is, too. So, they have them. Maya, back up here, baby. You poop, Daddy gets yelled at. I don't want to fucking clean up your shit. Your literal shit. They make them for a variety of systems. I will probably at some point get the Super Nintendo or the NES version and the Genesis version and stuff like that, just because they exist and I want them in case I ever do NES games and Genesis games. I don't think I'll do N64 games, although I'm pretty sure I can, but they have that controller as well. So. And I say that just because I can't think of a whole lot on the N64 that I would want to do games of. It's a console that I got very late in its lifespan. I think the GameCube was already out by the time I had an N64. And I only had one because my friend was selling his for like $60. I'm like, fuck it. I'll pick one up for $60. You know, it helps him out. Gets me a system. You know. And the thing is, it's not even a system I had even played at that point. You know, it's not like, oh, I've played this thing. You know, me and him, we played this game a lot. I'd gone over to his house and watched him play the N64, a couple games in particular. But I never really had any attachment to the system. I never thought, oh, I really wish I could have an N64. It was literally an impulse buy. I make those sometimes. I make stupid impulse buys involving consoles. An in-joke that hasn't come up in forever, but an in-joke between me and a couple friends is buy the Saturn. What happened was, the same friend who sold me the N64 was working in a gaming store. And someone had traded in like a Sega Saturn or something. Basically, they tried to sell it to them, and like, yeah, I guess we'll take it, kind of thing. And he's joking to me like, you should buy the Saturn, you know you want to buy the Saturn. I know you make stupid impulse buy decisions. It's only a matter of time before you will buy that Saturn. And today, I only know one game on the Saturn that I would really like to play, and that is the Magic Knight Rayearth game. Which, even if I knew where my Saturn was and all the cords and all that shit for it, that game's still like $80. So the odds of me actually getting a chance to play it are slim to none. But another friend of mine, Reaper, was there. We were playing the Yu Yu Hakusho card game because we had just bought a whole fuckload of stuff on eBay, both other people's collections as well as actual starter decks and booster boxes and all that shit. I'm sorry, not starter decks, starter boxes, like the whole set. Like, oh, do you have a Team Masho starter? Here, I've got an extra one, kind of thing. And this is the time when he was working and he just had all the expendable income in the world. And I was broke, and I'm like, I can't even buy the Saturn if I wanted to. And I was joking to my friend, I'm like, hey, I'll make you a deal. If I make you a deck of nothing but foil cards for Yu Yu Hakusho, just for the hell of it, you know, completely playable, I'll give it to you and you buy the Saturn and give it to me. And there was no reason for him to take this deal other than raw amusement, because he had the same cards that I had. He could have easily made that deck himself. It amused him to have me buy the Saturn after all. But anyway, when I got the N64, not a lot of games stuck out at me. Like, I played WrestleMania 2000, which I have characters that I've had for like 15, 20 years that started on WrestleMania 2000. One actually started on WWF Raw for the PlayStation. But I have all these characters that I've been playing for literal years. Like, every time I get a wrestling game, I make like 80% of them, and every now and then I'll add a new one to the cast. But I'm kind of shy about bringing them up to new people, you know, because I have all these long involved backstories and feuds and shit, just really stupid, and I'm self-conscious about it and don't feel like sharing it with the world. So you're not going to see me play WrestleMania 2000 or WWF Raw. Likewise, there's StarCraft 64. But if I wanted to play StarCraft, I could just play StarCraft. I'm pretty sure I could get a copy for not all that much, you know. So, no point in getting StarCraft 64 either. And there's Conker's Bad Fur Day, But the problem with Conquered Bad Fur Day is I have never been able to beat the N64 version. I've only beaten, excuse me, the Xbox version, because one of the changes they made when they ported over the system is that you can now move while doing certain attacks. Like there's this level where you have to get drunk, pee on these guys, turn them into rocks, and roll them down a hill. Well, I can't get my placement right that I can roll them down the hill, but in the Xbox version, I can walk while peeing. And that's the thing that allowed me to beat the game, as stupid as that is. Because I've beaten all the parts leading up to it, all the parts after it, but never that fucking part because I couldn't move. I couldn't line up my shot right, and that one thing was the fucking gateway between me and the rest of the game. So again, I don't think I can do Conker's Bad Fur Day for that reason. And I didn't really play much else on the N64. So nothing's really jumping out at me like, hey, Kyrix, remember this game that you used to play from your childhood? You could play that. I mean, Pokemon Stadium comes to mind. But the problem with Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 is, especially now that I've gotten into semi-competitive battling, it would drive me nuts to use their rentals because they just don't play the way I would play them. And I don't, because it's not a real console version, I can't just, take my own gold, silver, red, blue, yellow games, plug them in, and use my Pokemon either. Which is really kind of sad because I have a 3DS where I own both blue version and crystal version. So I do technically have Pokemon from those exact games, but there's no way to port them over. So there's no point in doing that. And Pokemon Snap's kind of been done to death, Like everyone and their cousin has done Pokemon Snap. Not that that's ever stopped me before, but I don't know if I want to go and get a brand new controller just to play Pokemon Snap. And the N64 is actually one of those weird cases where you really kind of need the controller to get the proper experience, because if you've never seen a Nintendo 64 controller, it is one of the most bizarre controllers ever. There used to be jokes like, if an archaeologist 10,000 years from now saw an N64 controller, they would deduce that human beings had 3 arms, There is no reason for it to have that shape that it has. The buttons are weird. You don't necessarily know how to hold it. It's really weird. And it is the controller that it's taken me the longest to adjust to. Because within a matter of hours of putting it in my hands, I can just be completely immersed in that controller, know what I'm doing, etc. Now, individual games and their controls might be a different story, but the controller itself, I got that shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, nothing immediately jumps out at me that, oh, I have to play this. I mean, if someone watches this video and they're like, hey, Kyrix, I would like to see you play this game on the N64. Maybe. That's the problem is, I was a PlayStation guy. And later on an Xbox guy. So I had the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, the GameCube. I had all that shit from that generation. And the N64 was an afterthought. I can only think of a couple games off the top of my head that I even played on the damn thing. Hybrid Heaven was one, and that was more one that my friend played than I did. I might have rented it once, but I didn't play it as obsessively as he did. And I know people are thinking, GoldenEye, well, I don't like James Bond. I don't like James Bond, I'm not a shooter guy, so none of that comes to mind, But if I ever get the drive to do N64 games, I will definitely snag that. If it turns out that my computer can handle, and I can find in the first place, a Sega Saturn emulator, I will do the Ray Earth game for surezies. And I might get the Saturn version of the USB controller, because that's actually what I had for my Genesis, was a Saturn control. So when I would play Zombies Ate My Neighbors, my friend would have the typical 3-button controller, and I would have the 6-button with start and mode, etc. So even though I grew up with the Genesis version, of Zombies Ate My Neighbors, I have no idea how to play it with Genesis controls. So that whenever I do actually go back and play that, I play the Super Nintendo version, because the controls are infinitely easier for me to handle that way, you know. Give me this. So that's just one of those weird little quirks that I do. There it is. So yeah, last week, you know, and it was kind of fun. I had a mild issue where I was hoping my friend would pick me up, but I had to. I wouldn't know until like 9 o'clock, which means that the tournament would be like well into round 2, if not later, by the time I knew. So it was either take the chance and go, or just forgo the tournament entirely and stay safe, and just find out, hey, I could have picked you up. I'm like, well, shit. So basically, I hopped the bus, took my big-ass box, because my bike is fucked again. The pedal bar broke. I'm actually going to have to do that first thing next month when I get paid, is walk up to the bike shop, see what it costs to get that bar replaced, you know, all that bullshit. You know, it could be a fucking $15 affair. I get the feeling it's probably going to be more along the lines of 30 to 40 bucks. It could be significantly higher, but this bike is in good condition. All the parts on it work, except for that one thing with the pedal bar. So it really would be stupid to just not fix the bike, because everything else is in such good shape, you know what I mean? Because part of me considered like, oh, wouldn't it be better to just get a bike? And I'm like, no, dude. I went through all, I just got new tires and tubes. The seat, I think, is new, because I think my old seat fell the fuck off. My friend just tightened the brakes. My gears all work. You know, my light works when I have batteries for it. It's just, there's no reason not to repair this bike instead of replace it. Now, if I had the money to do both, that's fantastic. But in lieu of that, the priority is to fix. And not... But yeah, I didn't have the option to ride my bike home because it's fucked. And I get up there, and I happen to mention this predicament to one of the guys. It's like, oh, I'm down somewhat near that area, and I don't mind going out of my way to drop you off. I'm like, if it's at all an issue, you can drop me at like 38th, which is where he said he was going to be, and I can walk the rest of the way, because that's over halfway home to my house. You know, at that point, I can walk, no problem. He's like, no, I'll take you the full way. My friend called, he's like, yeah, we're going to be Christmas shopping, so I don't think I'll be able to make it. I'm like, that's cool, dude, I got a ride, it's no big deal. Now, I didn't play my usual Ferengi. I played a Klingon, specifically Chang's Bird of Prey, which has a mechanic where it cloaks, and it can fire torpedoes while cloaked, and if it does that, it doesn't decloak. So I decided to take it a step further, put the Ferengi torpedoes that I love so damn much on it, and just went to town. You know what I mean? Just absolutely tore ass that way. Usually I use the Vorcha, which has a 1 point higher attack and like 2 more hull. It's just a much more survivable ship. But Chang's Bird of Prey did a whole bunch of fun stuff without requiring like a piece of Romulan tech that auxed me every turn. So I had my usual setup, my Lursa, my Bator, I had Gowron on there, I had the Ferengi torpedo, I put Arsenal on there so that I could fire the torpedo every turn, which I did. I don't think there was any point where I didn't fire torpedoes if I had a shot. Like, I never used my actual disruptors at any point during that fight. Not fight, tournament. And I actually had 2 elite talents on, one from Gowron and Lursa. It never really came up which it was. And one was on Bator. Bator has this power where she can let any friendly ship within 1 to 2 of her use her elite talent as if it were theirs. And I don't play a lot of elite talents, so it's never come up. But I decided this time, no, I'm actually going to use her power. So I put one on her called Supreme Commander. The other one was called Interrogation. And what Interrogation did was it let me boost my primary weapon stat by the number of upgrades on my opponent's ship. So if my opponent had like 3 upgrades on there, I could add +3 to my roll, which would be really good if I needed to take a shot. But it never came up. But Supreme Commander basically says that you pick a ship, a friendly ship within 3 of you, 1 to 3. And that's important because some things are only 3, some are 1 to 3. This is one of those. But yeah, you pick a ship within 1 to 3 of you that's friendly, and that ship. So basically, your ship is giving up its action to one time give another ship an action. And I used it twice, once to really great effect, once just to use it. But the caveat is if it's used on a Klingon ship, like if it's used to give a Klingon ship an action, it can instead perform any action that ship is capable of, like the crew, the weapons, the tech, the admiral, etc. So what was going to happen in that setup was I had a ship, the Kyrix. It's a mirror universe Romulan warbird, which I'll get into in a minute. And it was near the Chang, and its captain was a 6 compared to Lursen Bator as an 8, which meant that he would move first and do his action first, but they would shoot first. So he moved, and he was still within, 2 of them, so that he could be given Supreme Commander. And I opted to basically, because I was gonna do a come about maneuver, which is when in this case it was a 3 come about. So I would move 3, then do a 180 turn, so I'm facing the other direction, and have an aux. Well, this means that I would be denied my action, so I wouldn't be able to do all the cool shit that I do. So what I did instead was I gave the Kyrix Supreme Commander, and he directed it at the Chang, and because the Chang's bird of prey is a Klingon ship, I could just do Gowron's action. Gowron's action being to give myself a battle stations token, and if it's done to a Klingon ship, it gets to also do a free action. So I did, my battle station and my, I want to say evade, but it could have been a target lock. And then on Chang's turn, it did its come about, so I still got my actions while auxing. It was pretty cool. The next ship is the Kyrix. It was actually the 3rd ship, but I've already mentioned it, so let's go a little further. The Kyrix is a mirror universe ship, but otherwise it's pretty much pure Romulan. Its ability is that if I do a green maneuver, I get a free scan token. And normally the warbirds can't do scans, so it's kind of a nice thing. I still get my actual action. So I would do the Kyrix's free scans almost constantly. And the captain is Tomalak, who is a rank 4 captain. I put Elam Garrick from the Mirror Universe on there to give him an extra +2. But Tomalak's power is if I have a scan token near my ship, I can reroll all my blanks once. So it's basically like a free target lock. So I would target lock, do my scan with Tomalak. When I would shoot my disruptors, they would roll 1 less defense, and I would get to reroll all my blanks. And then if I didn't like that roll, I could actually reroll what I didn't like via the target lock. And it also had equipped this card called like Enhanced Phaser Array or Disruptor Array or whatever. So basically, it got a +1 to its attack. It's exclusive to the Romulan Warbirds. It's a mirror card, but it can only be used on Warbirds, so the Romulans can use it, but it costs an extra point. And it adds +1 to their primary weapon. No big deal. Last but not least was the Balak, which is a normal Romulan faction warbird. And the Balak's power is a real doozy. Because of this power, the Balak was always the last thing in my fleet to die. The Balak's power is that when it's cloaked, or when it's not cloaked, it can reroll... No, I'm sorry, let me start over. When it's not cloaked, it can convert 1 defensive battle stations roll to an evade. When it is cloaked, it converts all of them to evades. That's kind of a big fucking deal. Because Romulans, cloak ships in general, as a rule, almost without exception, do not get battle stations because they would absolutely break them. For those who don't know, first off, a battle stations token, the dice have hits and crits or evades, battle stations, and blanks. And when you have a battle stations token and the battle stations symbol comes up on your dice, what that means is that you spend your battle stations token and all attack battle stations become hits automatically, or all defensive battle stations automatically become free evades. Well, when you are cloaked, you get 4 extra defense dice. So having your battle stations become evades for free would make them borderline unhittable. That's one of the reasons my Vorcha does so well, because I can battle stations with Gowron, get a free target lock, so that when I shoot, I almost always hit with all my dice, and I save the battle stations for my defensive rolls. Well, the Balak gets that for free every time it rolls defense. So hitting this thing through 6 defense dice is damn near impossible. It is just a massive tank, really. And it had a simple captain, Toreth, from the starter, turn 1 hit into a crit. It had rear phasers, basically, rear disruptors, where I could fire 1 to 3 for 3 damage from anywhere that's not my front arc, at the cost of a disable. And she also had the enhanced cloaking device that I always use, where I can aux to stay cloaked. And it was a pretty good little fleet. It was something I haven't played in a while. I had 1 win. 1 loss where I managed to get points, and 1 loss where I was completely shut out. Although I did significant damage to every ship in the fleet in the one where I took points, and had a pretty good run in the one where I just got wiped. So, wasn't a complete loss for me, but it wasn't my finest hour either. And on the Pokemon subject, which was, for me, well, I guess it's yesterday, I have slept since then. It was just minor stuff. I got a win, I got a loss in a multi-battle, but I had fun. Even though no one was there to play me for like the first hour and 15 minutes, so. But the next couple weeks there will be no Pokemon updates, because one is Christmas, and after that is New Year's, and the library's closed on both of those days. As a side note, it is actually my birthday this week on the 23rd on Sunday, so when next you see me, I will be 36 years old. So that's fun. I actually have quite a bit planned coming up this week. Thursday is going to be spent at the movie theater. I am basically, I'm going to see Mortal Engines in IMAX at 1. Then at 5, I'm going to see Aquaman in IMAX. And then at, I want to say at 8, I'm going to see Bumblebee in D-Box 3D. And then we have, on top of that, because it's my birthday and I'm on A-list, I get a free large popcorn and soda, which I intend to abuse just ferociously. I'm going to get it at the start with Mortal Engines. I'm just going to keep getting refills all day. That's basically my dinner for the day. As shitty as that sounds. Both in the case that I'm scumbagging the theater and the case that I'm eating popcorn and soda for a meal for all of my food that day. Saturday, the 22nd, that's going to be a doozy, because I actually just got a call from my friend basically saying, hey, my aunt wanted me to invite you along with me to this formal dinner that her boss is going to be at. And I'm like, what, is she trying to get fired or something? He's like, yeah, that's what I said. But apparently I'm going to that. Me and him actually went to have dinner with my mother last Tuesday. I may have mentioned it. So, that's a thing. On top of that, they have this new... You've seen me do the Final Fantasy V 4-job Fiesta. They're doing one for Final Fantasy VI, and this is the first time it's being done. It starts on the 22nd, so expect to see me doing that for my channel. Then, of course, Sunday's my birthday. I'm going to go up into Largo, hang out with Mom and my aunt for a bit, come home, do Kyrix stuff. No plans for Christmas and Christmas Eve that I know of. Shit could happen. You know, quite a bit came up in the past couple days, so who can say. But yeah, it's been a bit of a doozy. But yeah, I spent a lot of time working on my new laptop. I should be getting... For Christmas, I'm getting a double terabyte hard drive, I know that. I'm getting collars for the girls, that meaning the cats. My aunt, for my birthday, is gonna give me... She was gonna give me cash, and then she's like, well, we don't have cash, so I can either get you a gift card or a little debit card kind of thing. Gift debit. And I basically told her, get me a Steam card, so I'm going to be getting some games on Steam. I don't know how much. I'm thinking it'll be like a $15, $20 gift card. She could, you know, blow me out of the water and give me like a $50 card for all I fucking know. But I'm going to get at least one game off my wish list. Don't know what yet. Allegedly, because I got a private message from Star, like, a couple weeks ago, basically, when I started coming back into the chat and stuff. She said, hey, we do this thing for birthdays, just write what you'd like as a present. Where I could have either something sent electronically or just something mailed to me like a gift card. I said electronic, so for all I know, I'm getting something off my wish list from Star as well. Or maybe she's doing some kind of Steam thing. Or she might not do it at all, I don't know. I haven't been a regular on her channel, so I wouldn't necessarily be offended if she decided, no, you're not on enough to really qualify. So, I don't know. But that's another possibility. But, yeah. It's been surprisingly eventful considering I've been asleep for the whole week. But we're actually going to stop here, and I'll see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.